Good morning, everyone. Today is the 4th day of Tammuz. Yesterday was a very holy, special day, Gimel Tammuz. Today, I just want to give you a quick recap of yesterday. We began the 11th chapter of Shar HaYichud V'Emunah, which discussed the creative energy termed utterance. When Hashem would speak, the world came into existence. What is this utterance? So just as speech reveals that which is previously hidden in your mind, if you want to express something that you're thinking, you say it out loud. And it reveals what you're thinking. Similarly, the creative force originated within Hashem is in his mind, so to speak, again, and then the articulation brings it into actualization. In today's lesson, today's Monday, the 4th of Tammuz, we're on page 71 in the Chayenu. In today's lesson, although the Torah employs the analogy of speech, which is merely a tool of articulation, right? You could also write things down. You could type things up. But speech is a tool, and in itself is void of meaning. It's just a tool of expressing to describe the creative process. Nonetheless, Hashem's words are incomparable to the greatest human wisdom. It's, as we said over and over, that we use these words, the Torah uses words which are for man to have some form of an understanding of how things work, but really they're not the proper terminology. These are just words that we use in order to have a relationship with and an understanding with what Hashem is doing here. So but in truth, however, so if we're saying that words express what we're thinking, so the fact is that the supernal letters of speech are far higher than the level and essence of the wisdom of intelligent and created beings. And in this, they differ from the letters of man's thoughts and speech, which belong to the level far lower than intellect. Let's explain. When the pasuk says, "Let us make man in our image," and those utterances were said, a person was created with wisdom and understanding. So since wisdom and intellect are derived from these letters that Hashem spoke, it's obvious that the letters themselves are far superior to them. The words that were used to create man are far superior than man's entire makeup, completely higher. Whatever it is, let's say a person creates something. You create a beautiful silver, whatever, You build a company, right? Your thoughts, your words are much greater than the company. Your words are greater than whatever creation you're creating. Or man, which is possessor of wisdom and intellect, was created even by the divine breath alone, as it is written, and he breathed into his nostrils the soul of life. So not only are the words higher, but even the breath that was used for the words. Again, these are all, what do we call it? Anthropomorphical sayings? Anthropomorphism. So it's an anthropomorphic expression, right? Oh, yeah, I said that already. I'm sorry. So it's not just the words, it's also the breath that's used. But Hashem doesn't have breath, Hashem doesn't have words. That's why we're saying this is just, an anthropomorphism. It was from his breath. So since the divine speech and breath create man who possess wisdom and intellect, it follows that the divine speech and breath are the source of wisdom and intellect in the soul of Adam. So what is the soul of Adam? It's not just another person. Adam hakelel is called nishmas hatzadikim shehem gedolim imalchei ashores. Included in the soul of Adam Arishain are contained all the souls of all the tzaddikim. In fact, all future people came from Adam, who are superior, the tzaddikim who are superior to the ministering angels, whose intellect too is far superior than that of the angels. And all this came forth from from Hashem. First of all, Nasa Adam B'Tzalmeinu, let's create man in our image, and Vayipach Pap of Nishmas Chaim. So the word and the breath of Hashem. V'hainu Fisha Oisios Di Buray Yisparech Hein B'Chinas Samshachos Koiches V'Chayis Midaisav Yisparech. The reason for the transcendence of the supernal letters over the soul is that the letters of Hashem's speech are effluences of power and life force from Hashem's emotive attributes. This is not just words that just like we would say something and, if you do this, then that will happen. If you do that, you command, you tell your workers what to do, whatever. No, this is completely different. The words actually bring the power and the life force. And it comes from Hashem's emotive attributes. From his chesed and his gevurah and his tiferes and all the different attributes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of course, as we mentioned, and this is the whole theme of Shayichud V'Emunah, that it's all really Hashem. From our perspective, it's different channels that it comes through, different rays of energy and godly light. So these emotive attributes of Hashem are united with his essence and united with his being in perfect unity. That's infinitely higher than the level of wisdom in created beings. So what do? We give them a descriptive term. So there are term letters, but not in relation to created beings, only relative to Hashem's emotive attributes themselves. So when we use the word letters, breath, words, whatever, so when the name letters signifies that they are lower than wisdom and intellect, but in this case, it's not applied to them in relation to created beings. As explained earlier, these letters that created the neshamas, the people, all of creation, are far superior to created wisdom and intellect. So rather, this term is applied to them relative to Hashem's emotive attributes, inasmuch as they are only quote-unquote letters, which are revelations of these attributes. As Hashem expresses chesed and his gevurah and his tiferes and all the other things, through these letters, through the letters in the Torah. And so when we read the Torah, we're learning some Torah. We open up a Chumash we read today from the Torah, and you're following along the Chumash. It's not just another compilation of different words that make up a nice story or direction or guidance or whatever. These are words that were used to create the world, that sustain and continue to sustain the world. What are these letters? These supernal letters, these spiritual, powerful letters, are the 22 kinds of effluences of life force and power, differing from one from another. Each one brings its own powerful energy into and bringing into creation into existence. By which all the higher worlds and the lower worlds and everything that's in them, meaning the higher worlds, angels and the heavenly spheres, and the lower worlds, every single thing that's in existence from them were created. And so it rose in Hashem's will and wisdom that he created the world with exactly these 22 different kinds of effluence, neither fewer nor more. And this is obviously the 22 letters of the Aleph base. And these are the 22 letters which are fixed in the mouth and in the tongue, as we've learned in the Sefer Yetzirah. Kabbalah explains. So it's not just the letters themselves. Listen to this, Chavra. Their written shape, even the shape of the letters, the way first there's a yud and it brings that the top of the yud, there's a little, first it starts as a tiny little point, then it comes down and it opens up, and then the bottom kind of curls down and curls off, or even juts off. So it's bringing down the godliness, the energy. Then if you look at a hey, it's just an extended yud with a little dot on the bottom. And each letter is another way of bringing. If you take the aleph, you have a yud above and a yud below, and the kav, the line in between. So it's like the Eibishter above, the yid below, and the energy that's brought down through that line, through that kav. We learned in the Maimer on Shabbos that when the neshamas receive the revelation of Hashem through their study of Torah. The righteous who study Torah in this world bask in the revelation of Hashem while they study and see and understand the Torah in a whole different dimension in the upper world. But their concept says that tzaddikim and their souls have no rest. En lehem menucha, they don't have any rest. They're constantly going from one level to the next. And we say the aliyah and the shama, they're always moving up higher and higher and higher. How do they get up? There are pillars in which they climb up. And first they go to this mikvah, this dinar, this river, this fiery, very hot mikvah. And then so that's the sur meirah. They go, sort of a step away, and they keep on going up higher and higher and higher. Huh? They go first to the fiery river, and then they go up the pillar and up the ladder. It says they have no rest. See, one more line. Shegam oishe. So the letters, as we're going to explain later on more about the letters. Shegam oishe sadibur v'hamshacha. I'm sorry, v'hamachshava. Shebenefesh adam hem hamshachais ve'asecha v'amidas shebenefesh me'usav v'atzmusik v'shespar b'makemacher. The letters of speech and thought in the human soul are also outflows from the essence and being of the intellect and the emotive attributes, as explained elsewhere. We have to be very careful how we talk, what we say, and the way we express ourselves. So man's words are articulated by their intellect, right? You're thinking something, you have a good thought you want to share, you say it. Hashem's words, however, are his chosen way of expression in order to create. And that's it for today. Deep stuff, guys. Thanks for bearing with me.